Good morning, Porch Chronicles. How y'all doing out there? So, this is most likely going to be a rant. Not trying to be funny or anything, but the medical field sucks. When my husband went into the hospital in '06, he had the best care ever. And he needed the best care ever because what he had shuts your organs down. And if not diagnosed correctly or taken care of fast enough, you're going to die from it within a week. Best hospital care in the world. At the end of the pandemic, we all know the healthcare industry was shitty. So many people died. So many people quit because they was afraid of dying. And some of those people even died trying to do their job. We understand. I'm not coming for the medical field when it comes to that. We couldn't help that. We couldn't. But the healthcare industry is in the crapper. 2020 was the end of the coming at the end of the pandemic, or coming to the end of the pandemic. My other sister-in-law, my husband's sister, ended up getting the same exact thing, Stevens-Johnson, because they didn't listen to her when she went to the hospital. She told them she could not take allopurinol because of what happened to her brother. In the midst of her transferring from one hospital to another, it got lost in translation. And they gave her the same medicine, and she almost died from it too. When she came home from the hospital, now, we all know when you go home from the hospital, you may be on some new medications depending on what you went in the hospital for. When she came home from the hospital, I remember they did not send her home with her medicine. Do y'all realize that a lot of these medicines keep organs functioning when you come home from a hospital? So it's dire that you have that medicine, right? They asked to kiss when she needed that medicine. So me, her, and her sister was on the phone, and I found out that she didn't have this medicine. Now, everybody's not an advocate for themselves, and everybody don't know how to get in somebody's ass to get something done. So she was like, I don't know what to do. I didn't call this, and I said, what? Are you telling me you home and you don't have no medication? What are you talking about? So she was like, yeah. I said, oh, okay. Okay, give me the phone number. Give me the number. Let me talk to him. We get on the phone. I can't remember if she probably had to stay on the phone with me because, they have to get permission for someone else to talk on their behalf, which is fine. She allowed me to talk on her behalf. I got in their ass so bad. She had her medicine within 15 minutes. See, it's a big disconnect between the health industry or the hospital systems and the pharmacy. And they dropped the ball so hard that they're putting people's lives in danger. You already are sending someone home not functioning in their correct capacity because they are sick and they need to heal. They tried to send my boyfriend home last night. Now, this man needs to get a defibrillator in his heart because he has AFib now. It's going to be 3 to 4 weeks before they can get him into surgery, which is just a procedure, an in and out procedure. So they need to send him home with a vest. It's a monitor, a chest monitor. So if something does happen in the midst of him waiting to have surgery, it will shock his heart back into the normal rhythm. That's the only reason they didn't send him home last night is because they had to order that and it hasn't come through yet. So he can't leave the hospital. Let me tell you what they was going to say. Now, this man also has a couple of new medicines he has to go home with. A few days before the stroke, we went to the park. I made him come out the house. He had a doctor's appointment, his regular doctor. He went to the regular doctor and they sent him some prescriptions. His new medical card is here, or he hasn't gotten it out the thing yet, but it's still his same number. It's just a new card. He lost his job a few months ago because of his health issues. So that insurance expired at the end of December, but they still had it on his paperwork. So he went to get his medicine and they wouldn't give it to him because they were saying the other one was it was another health insurance pending. And we're like, what health insurance y'all talking about? Because he hadn't worked in like 3 months, maybe 3 months. So now I knew this when they kept saying, oh, we're going to let him go home from the hospital. And I'm like, no, y'all not. His health insurance ain't acting right. I call the pharmacy. Find out it's still like that. We call the insurance. They say, oh, no, he has this. But they don't look to see that this other one is still on there. And that's why we can't get any medicine. We couldn't get any medicine before he had the stroke. So imagine them sending him home and he can't get the medicine. He had a stroke. They're sending him home with new medicine. This is where I'm saying he's not well enough to fight for himself and say, oh, well, I don't have this and I need to call this. And he don't. Now, he did. He is well enough because while I was on the phone with the pharmacy, he was on the phone with the insurance, and we had to get an emergency override for them to take that old insurance off last night. But if we wouldn't have been the one to call and they'd have sent him home last night, he'd be sitting in that house looking like a damn dummy today with no medicine. The only reason he ain't at home is because they didn't get that vest yet. I'm trying to tell you, if you have a loved one that goes into the system and you don't have someone to fight for them, baby, ain't no telling if they're going to make it. And I hate to say it like that, but it's the God's honest truth. The healthcare system is really detached from the pharmaceutical system. And they're supposed to be the closest because your life hangs in the balance when they send you home with medicines. Am I wrong? I love you, Porch Chronicles.